Welcome to Voodoo Whiskey Gaming, and once again we are continuing the late review of Life is Strange 2. This is episode 4. Fun fact, I'm still playing on the Xbox One because I don't know why I would suddenly switch over to the PS4. So fair warning, there's probably going to be some spoilers for episode 3 because the way it left off, it's just kind of hard to talk about where chapter 4 is going without spoiling a few things. I'll try not to go into too much detail though. But let's get into the story. Sean wakes up in a hospital after a nightmare. He has no idea where Daniel is, and he is under arrest. He is also, unfortunately, definitely missing an eye after the psychic explosion in episode 3. Ooh. He is under arrest, though, because of all the stuff that went down in Seattle. People think he or Daniel killed the cop, and nobody seems to care that the cop killed their father. So that's a little bit of shit writing right there, and it's a little disappointing that that's not really addressed as well as it should be. Fortunately for Sean, he's made friends with one of the nurses, and that nurse passes on his diary, notebook, whatever, which there's a note from Jacob who tells him where Daniel is. Unfortunately, Daniel is still kind of being a little shit, but I will say that by the end of episode 4, I was much more okay with him. I won't go into too much detail of what goes on in episode 4 because obviously, you know, that would be kind of shit. Each of these reviews is not meant to spoil the episode I'm talking about, but they may spoil the previous. There is one complaint with episode 4's story. There is a part where, you partner up with Jake and he and Sean are kind of sneaking about. They need to not get caught, and then they break into this whole big, deep conversation, which, don't get me wrong, I loved the conversation. I thought it was a really great, deep conversation. It really gave Jake a lot more character, and it's an important topic. But it just didn't fit in that part of the story because the entire time they're having this conversation, in the back of my head, I'm like, you guys are going to get caught. You're going to get caught. This is not the time. So it kind of took away from such a great moment in the game. As for the audio, I don't really have anything to say for that in this episode, so I'm going to go on to the gameplay. Which, I gotta say, this episode started out rough for me because there was an action that I was supposed to do to continue the game. Literally, really couldn't continue the game without performing this action, and it just completely glitched and wouldn't let me. I had to reload my last checkpoint, which was fortunately not too far back, but it definitely sucked that that occurred. But really, the gameplay didn't change much. It's still doing, what you would expect from this style of game, and I'm okay with that. That also goes for the controls, and this time the graphics. I didn't run into graphical issues apart from the texture popping I've been seeing throughout, but it looked just as good as any of the other episodes. I still love the art style. So to wrap this up, episode 4, while it was an interesting episode, it's definitely not my favorite so far. I'm really hoping that the 5th will bring it all together in a way that is, satisfying or just truly mental. Because let's face it, the ending of Life is Strange 1 was truly, truly mental, and I loved it. I loved what your choices boiled down to, so I'm really hoping that Life is Strange 2 has a great moment like that in episode 5. Okay, so in the comments down below, why don't you tell me what is your favorite 4th video game in a series? I don't know how many other video games have 4, but hey, go for it. And no, mine is not Final Fantasy IV. I personally didn't love Final Fantasy IV. How could he give up being a Dark Knight to be a frickin' paladin? Ugh. And as always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. And if you like what I'm doing in general, share, subscribe. Have a good one.